Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and today we're starting a brand new series called the R&R series. This is a raw and rustic behind-the-scenes approach to things that happen inside of our commercial kitchen. Today's video is all about a dry curing chamber. This is the kind of chamber that you would make cheese in, or in our case today, salami and salumi. Now, I gotta be honest, I can get lazy when it comes to a dry curing chamber, especially once it's dialed in. You know, that's the hardest part, getting your humidity right, your temperature right, your airflow, all of those elements. But once you get that locked in, it's easy to just set it and forget it. But salami's pretty predictable, and a 60 millimeter salami is always gonna take 8 weeks to 9 weeks to finish drying. A 32 to 34 millimeter salami is always gonna take 4 to 5 weeks to finish drying, depending on your parameters. And it's not going to take a whole lot longer than that. So if you're really keen on watching your salami or your charcuterie, you can typically see a problem happening as it's happening and then quickly troubleshoot it before it's too late. And it may mean the difference between tossing an entire fridge full of awesome charcuterie or saving it. Well, in my case, I wasn't so fortunate. I lost the salami in question because I wasn't paying attention. So hopefully this doesn't happen to you. Let's go check out the salami that I'm talking about so that you can get a better idea of what to look for. All right, this is the salami chamber in question. Notice it's empty right now. We'll get to this place here in a second. I had to transfer everything into this particular chamber. Thankfully, I had a second one. These are some great projects. Anyway, this is the salami that we're talking about right here. Okay, so this particular salami has been drying for a while, well past the 60-day mark. And you can see when I squeeze it, it's still really soft. See that? And when I cut it open, let's go ahead and cut it open. There we go. Something is wrong. The first sign was the fact that it took longer than 60 days. We definitely have a problem here. Look at that, right? The salami itself is incredibly wet whenever you press down on it. The meat should be super dry. And this has got about 3 months on it, and it's only lost about 33%. At this point, that salami is not savable. If I would have noticed this particular problem maybe a month ago or even 6 weeks ago, I probably could have done something differently at that time to save the salami, but at this point, it's too late. And thankfully, the rest of the product is okay, but this one is way too far gone. So how do you troubleshoot a particular problem like this? You know, you can chalk it up to the way that it was processed, maybe the mixing, maybe the recipe. But the first thing I did was I checked the chamber itself. And I noticed something in the chamber. Let me show you. All right, the first thing that I noticed was unwanted mold growth. All right, can you see in this little area right in here, you start to see this black mold. Now, black mold is not good in your chamber at all. So if you happen to have black mold, that's definitely a sign for concern. The other thing that I noticed was unwanted mold growing on my salami. Now, that almost never happens. So it made me think that the humidity was way too high. And that brought me to troubleshooting issue number 2, calibrating the humidity controller. Like I said earlier, sometimes I get lazy, especially when you're making good high quality charcuterie, but this is something that you do not want to forget about. These units need to be calibrated about twice a year at the minimum. If you could do it 4 times a year, you'll never have a problem. And I know sometimes it can be kind of a pain, which is why whenever you install these things in your fridge, you want to be sure not to lock them down too tightly because you will have to remove them to calibrate. Anyway, this particular method of calibration, and if you want to see a video on this particular method explained, check out that link in the top right hand corner. But I've just got a 1 gallon jar with a little bit of salt and water at the bottom, and the top is closed off, and I've got my probe right in the middle. And this environment should produce a 75% humidity. This probe has been in the jar for about 24 hours. It should say 75% here at the top, but instead it says 66%. Now what that means is that in my chamber, when I thought it was at 80%, it was actually at 89%. And that's the reason we were getting so much mold growth. That's the reason our salami wasn't drying properly, and it was very soft. And so we need to go ahead and calibrate this right quick. That means I need to raise the calibration points by 9. All right, so let's just do that right quick. These are very easy to calibrate. So let's just go to calibrate, and we're going to raise this by 9. So we're going to go to 3, just like this. This is so important, guys. when you have charcuterie. If you're doing cheese, make sure your unit is calibrated. Not only the humidity, but also the temperature controller as well. And it'll save you a lot of headache. So there we go. I've raised it by 9 points. It should now read 75%. There we go. 75% humidity. That's exactly what we're looking for. And I'm going to let it sit in here for a little bit longer just to make sure that that stays about where it needs to be. If not, I can fine tune it. But now that our unit is controlled, let's see what kind of damage was done inside of our chamber. All right, back to the chamber. Here we go. Now, me and Chandler disinfected the entire thing, right? I mean, we came back in with vinegar, with an iodophor solution, got everything nice and disinfected. But there's still the issue of this little mold right here in the back. And so, you know, usually refrigerators are pretty easy to take apart. Usually you can remove this back panel. So I unscrewed these 2 screws, and this back panel should come off pretty easy. Let's see if I can do it. There we go. Uh-oh. Okay, so this is what we're looking at on the inside of that panel, where those coils are. Look at that. And let me get this going here. You can kind of see what I'm talking about here. All right, so this is what that particular chamber looks like. So we need to completely disinfect and clean all of this before we reassemble it, because all of this, all these mold spores are going to just be circulating through this chamber, and this is not a good mold that we want growing in and around our charcuterie. And here's our back panel. As you can see here, we've got a lot of different mold growth. Definitely not something we want growing in our chamber. So we're going to have to clean and disinfect all this, that panel that goes in front of it. This process is going to take 1 or 2 days, and then we're going to let it dry and check it out and see where it's at that point. All right, that's today's episode of R&R. This problem could have been avoided. If I would have calibrated my units a lot more frequently, the humidity would have been in check. I would have never had an issue, but I gotta be honest, this sucks because we've got to now completely start over. I'm gonna have to come back in with some bleach, disinfect the entire thing, get rid of all that black mold, probably do 2 applications, come back with some iodophor, and then we're gonna start with a completely clean slate. And in essence, what we're doing is not only killing the bad mold, but we're also killing all of that beautiful, good mold, that bacteria that we've worked so hard to develop over the last 5 or 6 years. But that's just what happens. And so hopefully this will save you from the same problem. If you're currently dealing with a situation in your dry curing chamber and you haven't found a good solution, leave the problem in the comment section below, and I'll see if I can help you figure out how to fix it, because that's what this channel is all about. Thanks for joining me on this R&R episode. If you got any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you are brand new to the Two Guys in a Cooler channel, I'd like to say welcome and thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you got anything out of this video. Stick around because we've got some awesome videos that are designed to help you make some high quality charcuterie at home. See you next time.